This time on Spare Parts Cruising the Coast, we are gonna get a lot done. All of these things that we have gotten crossed off get done this time. So follow along with us and watch it happen, Captain. Have much to do. We are trying to get the Dark Knight running. We have put a list over here of just different things that we know that have to get done, and also a list of parts that we know that we still need. So we will get some of those things done. We do have some parts ready to go ahead and put on.
Let's get busy.
We have a willing partner in crime, and we've got two beautiful G-body Regals. So we're gonna go ahead and push the Maroon Dream here into the garage. Made a little progress on getting this cleaned out a little bit, although it doesn't look so much better now that I've gone back to the junkyard and got some seats. Anyway, we're getting started. Spare Parts Cruising the Coast, October is a-comin'. We have decided that the suspension has gone on long enough. We're going to get all this done today. We just have to do things like check tightness, do cotter pins, do the grease fittings, put grease in it, put the rotors on, put the calipers on. Yeah, easy stuff. So we will get to it. Got the new bracket on. Looks good. This is going to be in the way. Got to remember that we have another vacuum leak right there. We've got a vacuum leak right there. So we've got some holes to plug. No problem. We were taking a look at the Sweatpants Posse. They are building an S10 pickup. We are thinking about that for our next project, but we still have a bit to do to the current project. So
if we didn't have enough to do, we're already planning the next project.
Well, yeah, as you do. So we are going to get started on this thing again. We are going to tear into the back brakes. So we're going to get the rear up on jack stands and replace everything in the rear brakes in that rear brake hose. And then we are going to start thinking about fuel back there and drop that tank and put a new Walbro 450 in there and start to get that wired up and maybe run fuel lines to the front. So we've got some things to do. We are going to get started.
Good news is we have all parts, so we should be able to blow through it pretty quick. We also want to get back into these front brakes. The hose that we're using, it's the standard replacement hose, but it doesn't seem like it's fitting in there the way that we want. It seems like it's getting a little close to the springs when we turn in one direction and maybe rubbing in the other. So we're going to try a different hose. See if that works better. Maybe go to a braided flex hose. That might be the solution there. Maybe something a little bit longer with more flexibility so that we can keep it away from the springs. So we'll get into that today also.
Alright. Spare Parts Cruising the Coast. We have much to do. Just popped off the brake rotors. You can probably see the other one on the other side a little better with the lighting. Look about the same. There's still life left in those pads, although they're so old that they are probably dry rotting now. We got new cylinders, wheel cylinders, new springs, new shoes. The rotors actually don't look to be in too bad of a shape. You can feel a little bit of a ridge here, but it's not drastic, and there's no scoring, so that looks okay. We've got new shocks that we're gonna throw on the back here. That's interesting. So we'll get after it. We have one side completely apart. Got all the old parts here. kind of attached to where they went. We've got lots of pictures so that we don't forget how it all went together. Got a little wire brush after all of this, get it all cleaned up. And I don't know who the genius was that invented this clip that goes on the back of the wheel cylinder to attach it to here. I don't know why a couple of studs and a nut were too complicated for this apparatus, but that clip is a pain in the butt to get out, and it is a monster to get in. So I am not looking forward to that.
It was an accounting decision.
Yeah, it was probably a couple of pennies cheap. I'm gonna keep that together as a model. So if we forget how to do this shit, we can go look at that side.
It could never happen.
It could happen. It could happen to
Collective
us.
amnesia?
We do have pictures, but you know. Anyway, we're getting it apart, getting it cleaned up, getting it back together.
Big screen. While we were at Cruisin Coast, showing all the webisodes leading up to Cruisin Coast. We can do this. Linda's got a projector, and I've got a big screen that we can project on. We can make this happen.
You can show the whole project beginning in, and there you go.
Absolutely. Never ending loop. Never ending loop. Never ending loop. Never ending loop.
Got one side worked out with the hose, the brake hose, and we're happy with it. We ended up using the stock brake line for the Regal. We just had to take off the insulation or protection stuff. Where to go? Here it is. We had to split this off because it would not let the hose bend, and it kept on making it bind up and kink up when we went to lock. But now the hose has the flexibility without this, so we are going to run it without. The other side is all done, and we're happy with the routing lock to lock. This side we're still working on. We may have to move the actual bracket that locates the hose. We're not sure about that yet, but we're still working on this and playing with this, and we'll kind of see how it goes. We've got a lot of things done under the hood. The upper radiator hose, as you can see, is connected. The transmission lines are run. I need to tighten them up at the radiator, but the lines are run and routed. The heater hoses are clamped and done. So we have been able to cross several things off the list, but we have several things to go. After the brake lines, we're probably going to work on installing the power steering pulley and making sure all of the pulleys align so that we can get a belt on that.
A pulley?
And
Enough pulleys.
then, I don't know, we'll work on stuff. Much to do. We'll get her done. Happy with it. It's looking pretty. Motor looks good in there. Looks really good in there. It's going to sound good. We have gotten a lot done on the car. It is looking pretty good. Heater hoses are complete. Transmission lines are done. We know that we need a thermostat, and he's pulling off that housing. We had to space the power steering pump back a little bit. We got this on as far as we could without it bottoming out on a bolt on that other side, but it was out about a half an inch too far, so we had to space it and move it on back, but now it aligns with everything very nicely. I like the looks of that. The hoses look really good. They look a lot better than mine, so I'm going to be redoing mine. The new hose, it was a stock replacement. The ferrule nut was too long, and it did not tighten up, so we could not use the new hose. This is the old hose, but it won't slow us down for now. We'll just have to replace the hose eventually. But we did go new on this side, and everything is tight and looks routed nicely. Real pleased with that. Brake lines got routed, and I'm real happy with those. And again, I'm going to duplicate that on my car because I don't like the way mine are routed at all. We still have transmission linkage. Right now we've got everything in neutral, so it'll roll and all those kinds of things, and we don't have to worry about it when we start it. But we're going to have to get that done, so we're probably going to order a new shifter cable, hopefully one that is a bit longer, and get all of that done.
And a bracket that's in one piece.
What are you worried about that bracket for? I'm going to weld it back together. He's all concerned. I cut one bracket apart, and never mind the transmission cross member that I completely had to disassemble and put back together again. He's worried about a little bitty bracket and that I'm not going to be able to get back together. But
Not worried, not worried. Just always have a contingency. Okay?
Whatever.
That's what we do.
whatever. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff to do.
It's starting to look like a real hot rod.
It does look like a real hot rod. The next, honestly, the next big thing to do is put the harness in, see exactly where we want everything, and we've got a real good idea of that. The computer and the fuse block and whatever are going to go back over there in that space on that wheel well. There are some things like the OBD2 port and some other wires that we're going to have to route inside. But anyway, things are looking good.
Air intake here,
Yeah.
maybe here. If we can route it around in the front. I have a feeling it's going to be on this side of the engine.
We got an air conditioner bracket that we are going to powder coat red like the rest of his accents,
Right.
and we will be putting exhaust on pretty quick. 2.5 inch dual exhaust all the way back. And what else? Again, we've made a ton of progress. This is looking really, really good. I'm very pleased with how neat everything is coming out, and we've been trying to take our time. The old starter wires I'm going to have to, of course, lengthen, but I've done some calling, and I need to keep these resistors in there or put a fusible link, is what I'm told. So I've got to get that figured out and extend these by about 3 feet. Wrap them down and around and under so that they go to the large pole on starter, and then this one is for the smaller terminal.
Thinking a little research on summoner jigs, and we'll find exactly what we're looking for. Somebody has
More-
already encountered this.
More likely Cruisin. I looked on G-Body parts, but couldn't find anything with those guys. But Cruisin might sell something like that specific for the Regal.
It is out there, so we will find it.
Yeah. But again, I'm real pleased with how everything is lining up. We've got the alternator on. It's time for wiring harness, and once that is in and the fuel pump is wired all the way back and everything is grounded and grounded and grounded and grounded, we are ready to start.
So this time in the kitchen, I'm going to be flying solo, and I'm going to make one of my favorites. This is the world famous smoked fatty. This is a stuffed meatloaf that is lovingly wrapped in a blanket of bacon, which I'm constructing over here, and it will also be stuffed with this delicious onion, bacon, and honey marmalade that I'm kind of reducing down over here on the stove. So we'll let that cook a little more, and then we'll come over here and get busy with this. So I'm going to make the bacon weave, and all you do is just kind of lay it out as many strips as the length of one bacon strip, and then you start going the other way and you just kind of weave it into a lattice. What I'll do over here is I'll take some cheese, and I've got that right over here, just some Colby Jack, but it's rectangular, and I'm going to stack it up like little bricks in the middle of this meatloaf, and then I'll fold the two ends over it. I'll also put that onion marmalade in there, and then transfer it over to the bacon blanket, and then we'll go on the smoker after that. Stick around, I'll show you how it turns out. Okay, here's the finished product. So I wrapped the meatloaf in the bacon, and then tightly wrapped it in some saran wrap, cellophane, whatever you've got, but you want to wrap it around it and put it in the refrigerator or your freezer for maybe about an hour or so. Let everything kind of firm up. I'm going to put this on in just a bit, but we're ready to go. Smoked fatty, here we come. Okay, we got the fatty over here on the table. I've got the rub all over one side. Got the little pork butt going in there. It's been in there for a couple hours already. Just threw some more applewood chunks on the fire. So let's get the fatty going. All right, fatty's on the fire. Got the rub on the upside. We'll set that for 160. This is going to cook about 3 hours, or until the internal temperature is about 160. So we're going to be back in 3 hours.
Ooh, that looks delicious. Hot off the smoker. It is going to be one delicious smoked fatty. Yum, yum, yum. I know, Munch, you want some, don't you? You want some of that fatty.
Let me get the definitive cut right here in the middle so you can see.
So did you let that rest before you cut it?
I did. It is fully rested and ready for action. You can see what that looks like in there.
That looks delicious. Look at all of that. Look at that bacon.
We got the bacon
and the onion.
Bacon, onion, marmalade. And we've got some Colby Jack in there. It's delicious.
So you know those dogs are all waiting patiently for a little bite.
Yep. But I'm at the top of this food chain and I ate my way up here. So I'm gonna try the perfect bite. I've got some bacon, I've got some cheese, some onion. That's tasty.
Sorry, girl.
What's
No
up, little
smoked
lovers?
fatty for you.
And now we'll have a little moment of truth. See if we can start the 82 up. So it looks like Patrick's solder job did the trick. Fuel pump is working. You can hear the motor running. Well done, brother. Let's take the 82 out for a ride. Check out Patrick's handiwork. See if we can get it out of the driveway without hitting the bed. It's kind of a tight turn. Also, don't hit my car. That's all good. So we're in day 2. Spare parts cruising the coast. We're doing some work today with the parts that we picked up yesterday. So we've got a list of those there. We got them all marked off, and now we're going to go in there and start doing some of the work. So we have everything that we need to finish transmission lines, radiator hose, heater hoses. We're also going to pull that power steering pulley off.
Actually, we're putting one on. Heater hoses are done, transmission lines are done, top radiator hose is done. Bottom hose we haven't put on yet because the new thermostat that we got has a weirdly long and oddly angled neck to it. It doesn't look like it's going to fit too well in here.
Long and oddly angled.
So we need to find an alternative for that. Here it is. Here's the old one. So it would have to go something like this. And that ain't gonna work.
That is weird and odd.
Or like this. And again, I don't like either one of those.
Yes,
So,
not good options there. So the standard part may not be the one that we want. So we'll look around and see if we can find another thermostat. Perhaps we can use the piping that we already have.
It's what the American people need. It's what the American people
Day 3 of Memorial Day car camp. We are going to jump right into the fuel system today. We've still got the original fuel lines on those fuel rails, and we're going to go next door and get a tool so we can pop those off. We've got some black Russell fittings that are going to fit right there. We are going to measure for fuel line, and we are going to make our own fuel line out of braided line, which is right over here, and Russell fittings that are right over here. And I have somewhere, here it is, a cool tool that helps put all of that together. So
It is cool.
it is cool. Saves your fingers from getting little bloody holes in them from the braided steel. Anyway, I'll show you how to do that later on. So we're going to run fuel. We're probably going to lay the harness in. Harness is over here from PSI, and we'll stretch it out, put it out on a table, and then figure out how we're going to lay it in the engine bay. And that's probably all we're going to have time for today. But we have gotten a metric shit ton done on this car. So
120 days until Cruisin goes.
did you count that out?
I estimated it.
Okay.
We have about 120 days, guys. About 4 months until Cruisin goes. So
All
all I
right.
want to do is get busy.
Yeah, all right. Spare parts cruising the coast. We're going to make it happen. We have measured how much fuel line we need and marked it with tape. I'm about to use the cutoff wheel and cut through the braided line, use the tape to keep it from fraying terribly at the ends. And then we will put the -6 fittings on each end. And then put it back in.
So we're going to be making some hoses today with some special connections. Patrick is doing some prep on that right now. We've mentioned the cool tool before, so you'll get to see that in action.
Just put a little electrical tape around the outside of this, because eventually this ends up in the vise. Wire up the pretty cardboard.
Okay, so we've loaded the fitting into the cool tool. We've tightened it up in the vise. Patrick is removing the adhesive tape from the end that kept the flex braid from kind of fraying out when we were cutting it. So it kind of keeps all that together. We'll shove that into the cool tool and run that up. There's some threads on the inside of that connector. So we'll run that up in there, get a nice tight connection, and then we'll put it back in the vise and run the other piece in. It's really easy.
And we'll do that 2 more times. The end's a little frayed, but it's not horrible.
A little bit, but not bad.
That's what this is for.
There you go. And then just kind of keep it. Voila. So here's the finished product. We've got these really nice fuel line connectors on here. These are will also help us if we need to make a quick disconnection in the future. So job well done.
Alright, we kind of have the new harness set in there, kind of like we think it should be. All of that is just sitting on top. We didn't even run it to the right connectors. We were just trying to decide if we wanted to put the computer and the fuses inside the car, or if out here in the engine bay was going to do, and out here in the engine bay is going to do. The computer is going to be right here. It's going to be set up a lot like mine. We're going to run a lot of that wiring under that booster, and we're going to end up making a plate over here to put the fuses in the relays. And then we'll get everything plugged in. We got the power steering pump put in. We still, of course, have to put a pulley on there, and we will get that done. We have to get a Dorman pulley so it will fit in that.
What we were worried about was this fitment down in here, where this return line, it was interfering with the steering column, so we just had to bend it out a little bit and we got it to fit.
Yeah, and we didn't kink it. It's not great in there, but it will flow okay. We got fuel line done all the way back, which is fantastic. Brakes are done except for front brake lines. We have to find out what size we're going to do there. But all the shocks have been replaced, all the steering linkage is replaced, upgraded to the new dual calipers, brake system off of the Blazer. So all of that is done diggity. Fuel line is run all the way to the back. We still have to decide what exactly we're going to do with the return line, but I think we're going to plug it in right down there and run it back in the old fuel lines. So I think that the next time you come, we might hear it make noise.
Like that.
Better than that, I hope. And since we don't currently have any exhaust on it, it'll certainly be louder than that. So,
Looking forward to that.
spare parts cruising the coast, built, never bought.